You're going to be one of those guys. I'm going to be the devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure.
So you have a wealthy individual who has a piece of property that's worth millions, and he's not going to pay any taxes.
Correct. That's a little teaser.
So
and it really is a very little known technique and process that's available.
Welcome to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Anchored in family values, Wayne offers practical advice to help you get the most out of your retirement years. For more information, visit today'sretirees.com. Now, here's your host.
And welcome to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. If you have rental property, you want to stick around to listen to today's program, because we're going to be talking about real estate and sale of real estate, all kinds of things that deal with that topic. Maybe it's not even a rental property. Maybe it's just a piece of property that has appreciated in value with the last couple of years, Wayne. It's like the real estate market has just been on a cliff going straight up.
Yeah, and this show, we're going to talk a little bit more about typical rentals the next show, so people might want to tune in for the next one. This one is the highly appreciated real estate assets.
Okay.
Big value.
Big value, as in millions.
Okay.
So you have a piece of property or a
apartment
warehouse.
buildings, business buildings. You know, not too many people fall in this category, but some know people or have relatives, and
sure,
there are ways to help tax-wise that most people don't have a clue about, and that's what we're going to give some tips on how a person can sell a highly appreciated asset, real estate type asset, and pay no tax.
Pay no tax.
No tax.
So you're going to be one of those guys. I'm going to be the devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure.
So you have a wealthy individual who has a piece of property that's worth millions, and he's not going to pay any taxes.
Correct. That's a little teaser.
So
and it really is a very little known technique and process that's available to everybody, that qualifies in that category. But first we want to back up and figure out, or just discuss, why would somebody want to sell a property worth millions of dollars? The people, people would say, well, why would somebody want to give up that asset? They might have 50 tenants or 100 tenants, paying rent every month. Why give that up? So, people age. People get,
unfortunately,
yes, where they get tired or they're not capable of keeping up with the necessary repairs and management of those types of properties. Maybe they can't do it anymore. They just get tired of it. They want to go live life somewhere, and when you own property like that, I mean, you're married to the property.
Sure.
You've had regular rental properties. It's sometimes bad enough if you have a handful of tenants, let alone hundreds of tenants.
Right.
And there's always something that needs done with those buildings. And cost. The cost of those to maintain the roofs, the foundations, keeping them up to code, keeping the tenants happy, can be overwhelming. And a lot of people will hire them out. They'll get a management company, they'll hire contractors, and that eats into their profits.
Sure.
So it'd be surprising to many people to see the overhead on those types of properties.
Oh, I'm sure.
And at some point you have these millions of dollars worth of property, and the income that you derive from it, or ultimately end up pocketing, really tends to not be worth it for a lot of folks. They're just like, I'm killing myself here and just not making any worthwhile dollars. Right. So there comes a point in most people's lives that they want out of an asset like that.
Sure.
But most hold on to them longer than they should, because they don't want to pay the tax.
Okay. Right.
Right? If they bought this property for $1 million and now it's worth $5 million, and they depreciated it, they took all the write-offs over all those years.
Right.
The cost basis is generally low. And they just think, wow, my capital gain is going to be millions of dollars. I don't want to pay those types of rates, especially with the new Biden infrastructure bill that looks like it's going to get passed.
Very well may, yes.
So capital gains rates are going up for a lot of those wealthy people, which is even more reasons why they're going to want to hold on to it and not sell.
Right.
But there are...
Or sell before it does happen.
Well, yeah, a little late now.
Right.
But yeah, I'm assuming those new tax laws will be in effect for 2022. Who knows?
Sure. Right.
So people hold on to assets longer than they should, and not just big real estate either. Sometimes stocks, because they don't want to pay the tax, or normal rental properties for the average person. But yeah, there is a process, which we'll share after the commercial, that they could actually unload the property and pay zero tax if they choose to.
That is fascinating. But what that does is it tells me that you need to have someone like Wayne and his team. Now, Wayne he's a smart guy, but he's got attorneys and CPAs and things that he works with as well. But Wayne and his team to put together so that you will know and you have a good basis for information.
Yeah, very high net worth individuals need a team. We do a very good job servicing our clients, but in some cases, a highly sophisticated estate or, business or real estate owner, you need to bring in some big guns that routinely and daily work with those types of numbers and figures. Sure. So you get the most bang for your buck and you pay as little tax as possible.
Right.
And you're not dealing with amateurs. Most people, especially in small communities, they don't deal every day with very high net worth people. You have to be careful who you deal with.
Sure.
The average advisor or attorney or CPA, they get a big giant case like that, and they do things the same old way. It's not good.
Right.
You want to have people that do this every day.
Absolutely. Friends, that's a good reason for you to go to Wayne's website, todaysretirees.com, todaysretirees.com, or pick up that phone at 866-626-3990. We're going to take a short break and be back right after this.
We've all heard the word rollover when referring to an investment account at work, or your 401k, your 403b, your 457 plan. What do you do with that when you've left your job and your 401k or other retirement plan is still at your old employer? Or what if you've retired? One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to leave your money, your retirement account, in your employer's 401k. Quite frankly, your old employer or current employer is the boss of your retirement account. So if you have questions about what to do with your rollover, you roll it to Wayne. Get it in your own hands, where you have the whole universe of investments and choices, not just what your employer tells you can pick from. So contact my office for a free consultation on how to roll over your old retirement account.
And welcome back to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. On today's program, we are talking about high net worth folks who have highly appreciated value on property, real estate, maybe an apartment building, maybe other
business building.
It could be all kinds of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of go drive any through any city. You see the big companies, even mid-sized companies.
Sure.
A lot of those assets are worth millions and millions.
Sure. Now, would this go as well for, we live in sort of here in Northern Ohio. We have kind of a rural community. If a family has maybe a, a farm they've had for a long time and, maybe
Yes.
there's hundreds of acres.
So this is the deal. The process to sell a highly appreciated real estate asset and to not pay tax, it's called a DST. Have you ever heard of a DST?
I have not.
Have you heard of a 1031 exchange?
But I don't really know what it is.
So what that is just normal people like us. If we owned a rental property and it highly appreciated, or you seriously depreciated it, over the years by tax write-offs, you can sell that asset, put the money in a special account.
I see.
It can't go to you.
Okay.
It's got to go to this. You got to know you're going to do this before you sell the property. And you use those funds to buy another similar property.
Oh.
So let's say you had a rental property here, and you bought it for 100, you depreciated it, and now it's worth 300. You could sell that asset doing a 1031 exchange, take the 300 grand, go buy a house in Florida or Arizona, and for rental purposes or Airbnb or vacationbyowner.com, whatever, you rent it out throughout the year. That's a like-kind exchange. That's what that's called. A 1031 is a like-kind exchange. So you could sell this asset and buy another similar asset. No tax. Now, the cost basis follows the new purchase, right? So that property in Florida, Arizona retains your original cost basis.
Oh, okay.
So if you sold it outright, you'd still owe the tax.
Sure, okay.
But if you passed away and then let your kids inherit it, you get to step up in basis, and there's no tax.
Ah.
Right?
Okay.
Or if you sell your home here, your primary residence, and then go move to Florida, live there 2 years, you could sell the asset and pay no tax because it's considered your primary residence.
Right.
There's techniques like that.
Sure.
But if you're a business owner or real estate owner and have this $3 million property, you don't want to manage anymore.
Sure. Yeah.
You don't want to go buy another one.
Right.
The same thing's available, but you want out of the business. So there's something called a DST. It's called a Delaware Statutory Trust.
Okay.
And the assets from your real estate sale goes into, the money goes into this DST.
Okay.
And the DST invests in similar properties.
Oh.
So if you had rental, 100-unit rental building or multiple buildings, you would invest in a DST that takes those assets and invests in multiple similar properties. So you, instead of owning one business or one building in one town with, one group of people, you would own pieces of hundreds of similar buildings spread across the country.
Okay, sure.
So you're very, very good diversification. That money's there for you in the future. Typically, it's a project that'll last 5 to 10 years. So the one negative to DSTs are they're not very liquid.
Sure.
Okay, you got to be able to let the money sit. But it's money, and they're earning as these different projects and properties mature throughout the DST and eventually becomes liquid. Okay? And there's certain time limits on how long you have to leave it there to maintain that tax benefit.
Okay.
And you don't have to put all of the asset sale, the proceeds from the sale, into the DST.
Okay.
Say you want to keep 500 grand to live off of or keep liquid, so you're going to pay the tax on 500 grand. But you could defer or totally eliminate the tax by putting the rest in a DST. So it's complicated. I mean, it's got to be done correctly. It's perfectly legal, and IRS approved. So it's just a strategy that many people, if they knew it was available, they'd get out of the highly appreciated asset.
Sure. Now, once you do that and you set up a DST, you pay your taxes on whatever you want to keep, liquid. And then 5, 10 years down the road, whatever that is, do you still owe taxes at that point on that money?
No. So there's timelines where you can access the money.
Okay.
Okay. And the same example I used with the 1031 exchange, that if you pass away with that asset in the trust, in the DST, Delaware Statutory Trust, now your heirs inherit it tax-free. You know, there may be some estate taxes if you're very wealthy.
Sure.
But as far as the income tax that you would have normally paid when you sold the asset normally, you know, regularly, that's the tax that's saved. And it could be millions.
Sure.
It's tax savings. I mean, it's a common procedure, not really that common, but it's done more, West Coast, East Coast type properties, San Francisco or out in Washington, or just highly populated cities where these buildings are worth a ton. All those buildings you see when you go to those big cities, people own them.
Right.
Some are individual people that own them, and some are corporations and conglomerates and investors. But that procedure is available for most people. Sure.
Well, when we come back, we'll talk more about highly appreciated real estate. Go to Wayne's website. We're almost out of time for this segment at todaysretirees.com, todaysretirees.com. You can also, on that website, you can look at previous videos, shows that we have done. You can sign up for a free newsletter, and you can also sign up and have an appointment to go in and talk to Wayne. You can pick up the phone at 866-626-3990 and talk to one of the ladies. They're very helpful, and they will set you up an appointment, and you can go in and talk to Wayne, not just about this topic, but about your estate and your financial plan, so that your family not only has a good, sound financial plan, but is protected. So we'll be back right after this.
We've all heard the word rollover when referring to an investment account at work, or your 401k, your 403b, your 457 plan. What do you do with that when you've left your job and your 401k or other retirement plan is still at your old employer? Or what if you've retired? One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to leave your money, your retirement account, in your employer's 401k. Quite frankly, your old employer or current employer is the boss of your retirement account. So if you have questions about what to do with your rollover, you roll it to Wayne. Get it in your own hands, where you have the whole universe of investments and choices, not just what your employer tells you can pick from. So contact my office for a free consultation on how to roll over your old retirement account. A certified financial planner is a true professional, a well-rounded, holistic planner that helps you in all areas of your financial life. Estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, insurance planning. We have to sit for a 10-hour, 2-day exam, at least back when I took the test. It's not just a weekend designation where you go somewhere for a couple days, pay a couple $100, and now you have letters behind your name. One thing I think is important is that you try and find an independent certified financial planner. Somebody that doesn't work for a big firm. I myself own my company, Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. The buck stops with me, an independent, certified financial planner, one of the only ones on the north coast of Ohio.
Welcome back to Today's Retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. On today's program, we've been talking about highly appreciated real estate and how you, if you are thinking about selling that or you are selling that, how you can not just defer taxes, but you can eliminate taxes if you do it right. So, Wayne, I got a couple of questions. One is, you have like you mentioned, an apartment building with, large, or maybe an apartment complex, whatever. Mm-hmm. Why would that person want to sell such a lucrative asset? Because they're probably getting a decent income off of that.
Well, like we talked in the beginning of the show, people age, they get tired of it. The buildings depreciate, so they have to be repaired constantly.
Okay, sure.
The tenants are high maintenance, right? So there's always someone needing addressed.
Right.
In these types of buildings, there's hundreds of tenants or dozens of tenants, or depending on the asset. And sometimes they're not as profitable as people think, and people want to free up their money. Just because they have a multi-million-dollar property doesn't mean they have multi-millions in the bank.
Sure.
Someday they want to get paid for their work. They want to travel and vacation and enjoy their retirement, and they want to pull the cash out of it. But too many stay in too long because they don't want to pay the tax.
Sure.
So, and most don't know this strategy. I'm telling you,
Right.
And I know people listening to this, they're like, I don't have a multi-million-dollar, so they may not pay attention, but their uncle might, their parents might, their friend might, and I'm telling you, they don't know about this.
Sure.
The DST.
Right.
Because it's just a very underutilized tool.
Right.
To the general public and even people that own these types of assets. They don't have a clue. I mean, I have friends around the country that do the DSTs for a living. And, they have radio shows and TV shows and seminars and everything, and it's just amazing how many people aren't aware of the process.
Wow. Now, if they were to just leave that property to their heirs, there would be all kinds of tax implications, wouldn't there?
If they pass away, typically you have a step up in cost basis, so no. But they have.
Oh, okay.
But they have to remain owner of that property till he's in the ground.
Sure.
So you want to manage a multi-million-dollar building when you're 90 or 80?
Sure.
And that's when they start hiring out the maintenance and management of it. So that eats into their profits. They still have to put the money in the buildings to keep them up to par. Then they got to pay management companies to repair them and run the projects. Then they got to hire managers to manage the tenants, and so there's not much left for the owner if they get to that situation where they're not the one doing most of the work. So they want out, but they don't want to pay the tax.
Sure.
So this is one way, one solution. And if you have a rich uncle or aunt, or your parents are loaded, or grandparents, and they own, multi-million-dollar properties, a big house on the water on the coast is worth millions.
Sure.
Multiple ones are worth millions and millions, right? So it's not hard to get to $2, $3, $4, $5 million nowadays with a piece of real estate.
So, in order to, if you're thinking in that way, what is the process? I mean, obviously they want to come and see you to start figuring this out.
Well, it's a long process. So, similar to the 1031 tax-free exchanges that we explained a little earlier, where you could sell a rental here and buy a rental in Florida or Arizona or wherever and pay no tax. You got to know you're doing it, when you go into the sale.
Okay.
Because things have to be done certain ways, and money has to go to certain places.
Right. So you can't sell this property and then say, I like to do this.
Yeah, I've had people come to me and say, Wayne, I just sold this. I got, $500,000, and I'm looking to buy some other real estate. I'm like,
yeah, if you would have done this.
Yeah, I'm like, you should have came to me before, because you've already taken possession of the money. So it's over. Now you're going to pay the tax. You can't do anything about it.
Right.
If you would have done a 1031 exchange, or with large cases a DST, you wouldn't have had the tax, and you would have had your other property. So, yeah, you got to work with good attorneys, good CFPs, good CPAs, all along the way.
Right.
Before you do stuff, not just after. Keep everyone in the loop. And, so you pay as little tax as possible, and you do things the right way.
Right. Well, this is sort of what you have taught our audience from the beginning of this program, is to get a good certified financial planner like yourself. Keep him in the loop, or her. because they are both. So that you can minimize or avoid these pitfalls, and you can, as you put this plan together, you help them all along the way so that they don't make these mistakes, or they not just make a mistake, prevent making mistakes. They can find all of the benefits they're entitled to beforehand,
and along the way through the years. You ultimately pay less taxes by doing that, and that's a goal for most people.
Sure.
Pay our fair share, pay what we're legally responsible for, but save money wherever we can along the way, tax-wise mainly, and that's one way to do it. You don't want to come to the advisor after the fact.
Sure.
It's too late.
Right.
In most cases.
Right.
But especially when we're talking 1031 exchanges and DSTs.
Absolutely. Well, friends, as you have noticed on this program, one of the things that Wayne does is help families, individuals, however the case may be, with your financial plan. Now that starts early in planning. You don't wait till you've done something. You start at the beginning, and you get someone like Wayne involved. You can go to Wayne's website, get a lot of information. You can look at past shows, all kinds of things there at todaysretirees.com. You can set up an appointment and go in and see Wayne. It's very easy, 866-626-3990, 866-626-3990. We will see you the next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Visit todaysretirees.com or call 866-626-3990 to schedule a no-cost appointment with Wayne. Today's Retirees is brought to you by Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management, family-focused retirement and tax planning services, anchored in family values. Information and opinions discussed on Today's Retirees do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this station. Opinions expressed should not be substituted for individualized consultation with a qualified financial advisor. For specific information, call 866-626-3990 or visit todaysretirees.com.
A certified financial planner is a true professional, a well-rounded, holistic planner that helps you in all areas of your financial life. Estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, insurance planning. We have to sit for a 10-hour, 2-day exam, at least back when I took the test. It's not just a weekend designation where you go somewhere for a couple days, pay a couple $100, and now you have letters behind your name. One thing I think is important is that you try and find an independent certified financial planner. Somebody that doesn't work for a big firm. I myself own my company, Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. The buck stops with me, an independent, certified financial planner, one of the only ones on the north coast of Ohio.